So when you first signed into the Expanse server at Sigma Draconis Games, you'll end up in the lobby, which is here. Off to your left, you have suit spawns. So if you already have ships somewhere, you would use that to get to a particular instance. There are maps all over the place of what the different servers look like and the various zones. Coming back here towards the rear are the ship spawns. Each one of these will take you to a different new Rockhopper. Except for Saturn, that's not available yet, if ever. We'll try Tycho. I think my timer's reset for that one. Yep. You can get one new Rockhopper from any one of those spawns every 72 hours. Just waiting for it to load. Now, I'm not running the Seamless plugin because there are some issues with it at the moment. If you are running the Seamless plugin, switching the servers will be faster. First thing I'm going to do is shift to faction chat. That way, if you fumble any commands, they won't not go out into the global chat. I'm going to use the easy GPS command to hide all current GPS points. And then, if you notice up there at the top of my screen, it says idle drive signature. That's your own beacon. I generally will drive down all the way to 0, show distance for owned antennas. That way I don't see my own signals and it doesn't add to the signal spam on the screen. One of the very first things you should do when you get a new Rockhopper is to change the mass of your ship. If you look over to the right, you see that it says 1.64 kilotons. That's because you are carrying these here structural reinforcements. Each one of those weighs, whatever, divided 2,000, I don't know, 2.4 million divided by 160, but a lot. So I can just bring one over. Yeah, so one of those weighs 15,000 kilograms. So I'm going to bring all of them over. Now, if you look, the ship just went from 1.6 kilotons down to 844 tons, which is great. However, if I get out of the ship here and I look at a basic refinery, you'll see that the basic refinery includes 40 structural reinforcements. So I'm going to go down into the ship. Oh, that's a TTU NPC over there. They will remain on course. They will not engage you unless you get within 3 kilometers. And if you approach them, they will fly away. So the only way you'll get shot by these if you either close with them yourself, or if you're unlucky enough to be in a position such that their current course will bring them within 3 kilometers. That one there has a pretty good current bearing rate. I think it's, yeah, I think that one's going to pass outside of 3 kilometers. But I'm not entirely sure, so what I'm going to do is see where it's at, and I'm going to put it on my beam and jet out of here. Since it's the Epstein drive, you just want to turn around so you're pointing back at the opposite of your vector. and turn dampeners on to stop yourself. That's called turn and burn. Now, go in the ship. You start off, you're not going to have an O2 H2 generator on board your ship. They're too heavy. So I like to go in right from the get-go, find my vents, and set them to depressurize. That way, when you go in and out of the airlocks, you're not losing a little bit each time. Cargo crates, or freight containers, have items in them, but you have to ensure you go over to the helmet tab of inventory. If you're in the connected tab, you won't see it. And if you grind that without getting the items, you will lose it. So there's another map like the one that I showed you in the lobby. Your starting tools are in the lockers here. And I'll generally just get everything else out of the locker as well, so that it's in the connected inventory. Inside the ship, the easiest way to connect or to get into your connected inventory is through the survival kit. I always rename my large cargo containers LCC, and then I'll tag one of them with ZZZ. That's for components, so that you can do like this, dump everything into it, and go over here and dump everything into it. And now everything on my ship is in one storage container, easy to get to. I am running a tool switcher plugin, which allows me to just use the scroll wheel to switch tools. However, I'm gonna get rid of the drill. I'm not using the drill right now, so I just have to go back and forth between the welder and the grinder. It's one less scroll I have to deal with. So I'm gonna keep the basic assembler. We're gonna need that to grind down those structural components. Here's the basic refinery. Get rid of that basic refinery. We're lowering our ship mass because we want to save fuel. I'll be picking those structural components back up in a moment. But right now I'm leaving it there while we fix our system. We need one straight connector. Says I need interior plates, small steel tubes. Well, those freight containers are a good source for interior plates. And we got tubes there. Down. Let's go ahead and grab one of these. Catwalks also have, as you can see, small steel tubes. Switch to show ports. I think I'm still going to end up. Nope, I have everything I need. So now your system's reconnected with the refinery gone. I think we're still airtight, but I am going to go ahead and I'll close it in there for now. I'm going to go ahead and close that bucket back up anyway, just in case. Since my vents are depressurized, I don't have to shut these doors. That just makes going in and out easier. So now you can see we're 1.24 kilotons, but as soon as I offload these into my suit inventory, because in the magic physics of space engineers, what you're carrying in your suit doesn't count against ship mass, and now we're down to 241. So do that again, put it in 1.24 actually, right? 0.24. So we're 20% of the mass. So until you get those disassembled, you just keep them in your suit. But right now, the other thing I'll do is I go in, find the assembler. I'm all about shortcuts and tags. I put three A's after it, so I can easily go like this, find my assembler, put like 10 of them in there. Actually, I'll put them all in. Put them all in there, go to production, and choose disassemble all. So that gives a disassemble order for 200 of them. If you're not doing anything else, you can just leave them in there. But if, say, you want to scout around or something, just put 10 in at a time. Get the sun behind your back. It's just easier. And start looking for asteroids. But right now, I'm going to take a break. So I am going to put them all in there and let them disassemble, and then come back to this later. Alright, welcome back. Approximately 20 minutes has gone by in real time, and during that time all of those structural components were disassembled. So now I go to my inventory. You can see that's all the kind of stuff, all the ingots that we got. I'm going to go ahead and put those all in my central storage. And now we have our ship as light as we can possibly, well, not as light as we can get it, but pretty light at the moment. The next thing we're going to do is look for asteroids. So if I get out of here and go back into the ship, I used the Tycho spawn, so we're there just a little bit. You know, if north is referencing the top here, then we're just southwest of the Saturn area in that Tycho area. So we're either in the Tycho area or T1. To find that out, I'm going to again use that easy GPS, and I'm going to show T1 dot area, and you can see I am 142 kilometers from the T1 center of the T1 area, which is a 300 kilometer radius. So I am inside the T1 area. Asteroids only occur within 50 kilometers of the z-axis, so plus or minus 50,000 meters. So I am going to make a GPS. I'm just going to call it now. I go look at that, and I'm just barely there. You can see I'm at 47.5 kilometers. So I'm going to set that to 0. So I'm modifying my now GPS to make it 0. That way, when I start driving towards that, it'll take me down into the center of the belt. So that is, when I get there, I'll be right at the 0 z-axis. However, I don't have any cameras yet. I want a camera for scouting. So you can switch to the build menu by pressing Control G in the cockpit, and I'm going to build a couple cameras. I usually try to get 4 cameras. And I had enough stuff from when I had disassembled and everything to get those 4 cameras. So if I go up here, put one of those cameras up here. Oh, I should point out, this is an industrial cockpit. I also always make my cockpits a bright color so that I can easily find. Since that's an industrial cockpit, this is up, which is important, as you want to make sure your camera's facing in the right direction. Sure, I'll just leave the camera yellow for now. When installing multiple, or when adding multiple cameras, I just find it easier to name them as a point of installation so you don't have to try and figure it out later. That's the built-in or build vision mod that's on this server. Like here, you have to do a little bit of a modification. I just take off this chunk. So I have a surface to mount the camera on. And then after I do the front and back cameras, we're going to do ones on the side as well. And the reason that is, when you're switching from the low speed zones and you're running around in high speed zones, you want to avoid the other low speed zones. So knowing where they are in relationship to you, like if you're 305 kilometers from, say, this T1 area, you want to make sure that it's on your beam, so relative 90 degrees, or behind, so that you're not closing it. This is the right side of my ship. Call it right, or you could call it starboard, either way. And then the other side, either port or left. I should explain what I'm doing. At this point, I have a tool in my hand. I press down the control key to bring up the build vision menu. I use my scroll wheel to bring up this interface. I left click the name field, hit enter to open chat, and then what you type in chat takes effect there, and then you hit enter. I just realized I should slow down and not take it for granted. So now I come up here. I'm going to kill all these consoles on the toolbar 1 because that's not where I have them on my ship. I always put the front camera on 5. If I had a connector, it goes on 4. My Epstein drive on off goes on 9. So now I look at the camera, and let's say that I wanted to go towards that now, but I didn't want to get any closer to T1. I could move to my left camera so there's my left camera, and I'm going to come a little bit more. So now that should be a little bit to the stern of me. If I come out and I get out and look just to make sure. So when I start driving now, I should slightly open range to T1. And you can see it's going up a little bit at a time. So that's how you can use your cameras to control your range to various landmarks. At this time, I'm well deep into their T1 area. I do not have to worry about getting too pardon me. I don't have to worry about getting, that I'm going to go and leave the zone, so I'm not going to worry about where that is. I'm just going to drive towards my point. I'm going to take my thrusters. The default names are so long that you can't easily see the directions. So I always rename these to just RCS thruster. This is another plugin, by the way, this being able to rename all these blocks at the same time. I missed one. Now you can easily see the left, right, and such. I'm going to choose the two backwards one. I just call them brakes. And then I put that over here on 1 on my primary toolbar. That way I can kick in the other side here. Run it up to, once you get past 350, you're in boost, so I just let it coast back down to 350. You don't really have to worry about your signature too much in the Rockhopper, but just to show you how to do this, you put the beacon on your toolbar with increase the broadcast radius. That way you can see what the size of your signal is, because the signal is proportional to your thrust of your drives. I'm going to max out here again just to show that the Rockhopper at full thrust is only 13K, and weapon detection systems can get you to 16 to 18K. So if anything less than 16K, you're going to get detected by someone with weapons anyway. So you don't have to worry about your signal too much when you're running around in the default Rockhopper. You can see, if you look, we're starting to see some asteroids now. And there's the sun. And once we get into the area of the belt, we'll make sure the sun's behind us for scouting for asteroids. I'm going to just turn off my dampers so I don't burn fuel as I flip. There we go. I'm going to turn the dampers back on. Ideally, I would have turned off the forward RCS thrusters as well, because they were used a little bit. They're slowing us down, but not too much. So let's see where the sun is now. In general, it's almost behind us. So there's another place where you can use those cameras. Get the back camera. or just do it this way, because sometimes if you're not exactly sure where you are in relation to the sun, trying to use the camera initially is problematic. But there we go, get close. There we go. I'm right on target. The sun's behind us. So now, look out in front of us. Sometimes you will have to get out of the cockpit and back in, and that affects whether you see some asteroids or not. And just kick on a little bit of speed so you see what we see. Burn a little bit of extra fuel and just use my RCS thrusters to stop. It's not ideal, but it works. Probably cold. So when you're in close to asteroids, I will generally turn off my F sign because it's just too easy to give it too much thrust and bump yourself into it. Now, at the moment, we do not have an ore detector, so we need to do that. The other thing that's nice about build vision, right here, when you first build ore detectors, they're not set to their full detection range, so you can use the build vision and just run it right up there. Now, you'll notice the maximum range on that ore detector is 300 meters. The ramshackle ore detector is 600 meters, but it requires 10 belter components, which you do not have initially. However, by voting every day, and that is the command support us, through the Steam overlay, you get to a portal where you can vote for the server. It'll show who's voted. I've already voted for today, but you sign in through Steam. It's going to tell me that I already voted, but once you do that, you come back into the game and you type !reward, and you get 10 million credits, as well as a range of things. There's some fuel tanks. That's how you add fuel to your ship. Using the extractor, you get some other limited components. Jerry cans are the small grid version of the fuel tank, and there's 20 belter components. So now that I have those, I could build the larger ore detector. However, I do not have with the additional detector comps required. I can't get that by disassembling some things. So I'm going to go over to here. I'm going to bring up my assembler with AAA and my cargo with ZZZ. And that's why I use these tags. They're keys that are really close to where your home keys on the keyboard. So I'll put in a few hundred of those. Put 100 of those. 20 motors or whatever. Oh, and I'll put in a bunch of power cells. And as many of those that'll fit. I'll go over here to production. I'll say disassemble all. And then I'm going to tell it to I know I need another 20 detector comps. I'm just going to order those up, but I have to let it disassemble for a while. Now that I've got that going, I can go over here and check out this asteroid. What's the rate? There's my spotlights. There. So cobalt and ice. Mark your GPS spots. I use a scheme where I use the area that I'm in, t1.or.type. So cobalt and ice. So now I leave those on while I'm exploring so that I don't end up visiting the same asteroid twice while I'm surveying. I would be remiss if I didn't point out that on your basic Rockhopper, the drill is not complete. You have to add some components to it. Everything except for some construction comps and steel plates. So but you have everything in your cargo that you need to build that, unless I used it for something else. We'll find out. There, that should probably be enough. So there's the drill. Now, the other thing here is so the vanilla, basic or vanilla drill, hide those signals for a moment, is a 2.5 mining radius, and you can see that by turning on the overlay. That's the control equals. So the green is what you're mining, the red is when you're excavating, whereas the ramshackle drill is almost a meter more in radius, but it requires 20 belted components. So you could initially instead of getting that ore detector upgraded your first day, remove the drill, and then upgrade your drill. It all depends on how many belter comps you get in your reward. Sometimes you only get 10 or 15. So the first day you vote, if you get 20, you're probably better off going with a bigger drill. and then upgrade your ore detector on day 2. Takes a couple. It also requires more components, so it's 3 suit trips to build the ramshackle versus only 2 for a vanilla drill. Now let the drill get that drill welded up. It's ready to go. I usually put my drill on the one to the left using the left-hand symbol. I'll put the block tool on 1. I'll put the drill on off on 2, and if I'm only going for ore, I'll use another plugin, toggle stone voiding on 3. So to show how this works, if I come back around here, turn the signals back on, so there's my cobalt. I'll put your camera over there too, so that you can easily switch to it when getting ready to drill. You see there's stone and cobalt both coming in, but as soon as I turn on that stone voiding, it's on a 5-second cycle there. You'll see the cobalt's accumulating, but the stone's getting purged. However, right now I'm going to need some stone because I'm going to want to just use my survival kit to... My lights weren't on there. I want to use the survival kit to make some gravel. I'm just going to go ahead and grab some stones initially here, so I can get some ingots to make other things. And I'll go over to production, choose that survival kit, and just queue up thousands and thousands of ingots. Pardon me. Now we can just leave our drill run, it doesn't matter. I'm going to go over to production. We're done disassembling. Let's see how we're doing on ore detectors. Of course, I don't have the belter comps to make an ore detector now, the improved one, but we can still see whether I disassembled enough stuff to get 20 ore detector comps. Yep, I'm going to have plenty for that. Now, if you didn't want to wait another day to vote, there are stations where you can go and buy the belter comps. They cost about 2 million each. Since you get 10 million credits each day just from voting. That's enough to buy 5 belter comps. Alright, a little bit ago I went through and I deleted all of those command blocks from the toolbar. That is the command, and in the command console they have that's not it. They have the Expanse flight control script. I am not going to do an overview of this one because I do not use it, but it's pretty self-explanatory. It shows you all the commands. So, like we did there's flip and flip 2 at retrograde. Retrograde is the when you turn and you point the opposite direction. So, for example, there's that command console. Put the retrograde command on there. Make sure all the F-signs are on. I get going. I hit 3 now because that's where I put it. Turns me around. And I just hit the Z command. And I'm stopped again. So that's how it works. You can go through the other commands. I use something called NavOS. Very similar, but it has other things like speed match when you're tracking targets. That's going to be the extent of this part. Please let me know if you have any questions.